What's going on, guys? My name is Tom from Dreadlabs, and today we're going to do something similar to this poster in Cinema 4D and Photoshop.
Dreadlabs.
So this is a poster or artwork that I did for Creatober, which was a challenge to make something every day for the whole month of October that I did on my Instagram. You can see the time lapse in the description. And I got a lot of questions if I could remake this and show you how I did this. So I thought, let's just dive into it real quick and I'll show you how I did it. Hey guys, so full disclosure, this isn't the design that I've come up with. This is heavily inspired by a design that I found in this book called Rave art. I've talked about it before on the channel, and I just wanted to show you real quick that this is a poster for Lifeline made by Phoenix Productions, and it's a flyer from 1989, and I'll show it to you right now. So yeah, I just want to clear that up. I'm not the original maker of this. I just thought it might be fun to explore it, how it's done, because I'm not sure. I don't think this has been done in 1989 in Cinema 4D. I think it's just been painted or something. But I thought it might be cool to actually start trying to recreate it into with digital tools, I guess. So with that being said, let's dive into the tutorial. For the first part of the video, we're going to use Cinema 4D. And there's an easy way to create a landscape in Cinema 4D with this button, but I like to do it a little bit differently. So what I want to do is I'll add a plane and make it really big, like 3000 by 3000. And then we're going to go to display and add grow shading lines, so we'll see how many subdivisions we have, and we will really increase this. So let's just go with 200 by 200, something like that, maybe a little bit more, 500 by 500. Let's just get it to 300 by 300 for now, and then we'll see if we need to up this later. So now I want to go to the deformers and add a displacer, and while I'm holding shift, this will make a child of the plane. And we'll go to shading and add a noise shader. And as you can see, this will roughen up the terrain already. So what I like to do is, this will determine how the small details will be. Like, I'll make the global scale a little bit smaller, like this, and then I'll do one for like the hills and the mountains and stuff. So I'll do another displacer, and I'll make it a child of the plane as well. Add a noise texture as well. Dive into the noise and make this one a little bit bigger, like, I don't know, 200. And then we'll go to object and increase the height. And this is still too small, so we'll go back into the noise object and we'll bump this up to 900%. And as you can see, like, some hills are starting to form. And this is the point where I want to increase the segments here to, I think, 500. And then I'll go to the other noise and make it a little bit smaller, like this. And now I want to bump this into a subdivision surface while holding Alt or Option, and then the sharp edges will be gone. And this might be a little bit rough for your computer, so if you don't have a good computer, I strongly advise you to don't work with this in Cinema 4D. So now we have a landscape. We can hide it for a second, and let's just add a couple of planets. So I'll add a sphere, make it icosahedron, and up the segments to 48, something like that. And then I'm gonna press C on my keyboard to make it editable, and I'll put it into a cloner, and I'll put it into a grid array, decrease the count to 2 by 2 by 2. I think that's enough. And then with distance, do something like this. But we want to really randomize the position and the size of these planets. So actually I'm going to decrease the ones in the Y value. Let's just go with 4 planets for now. And then go to with the cloner selected, go to MoGraph, Effector, Random. And let's just check the scale here and check uniform scale. And check 0.5, I guess. I want to resize this sphere a bit, so let's go into the cloner, and have decent size under the transform tab. And now for the position, I want to up these a little bit like this. And now I want to lower the positions here actually, so they will still be a little bit close. And now I want to move the whole cloner upward. So with the cloner selected, click the move tool and bump this up. And now I also want to have a displacer, so I'm going to copy the small displacer and paste it and put it under the sphere, and put our cloner in a subdivision surface as well. Let's just remove the subdivision surface for now. And with the displacer here, I want to grab the noise and put it into a FBM and make it just 100%. And yeah, now we're going to put it into a subdivision surface. And we'll just add a camera, and we'll pick up a good spot to make our composition. So I want to have a little bit more Y difference between these. So let's just move this. Let's just move it up. And I want to rotate the cloner so that the planets will be aligned a little bit differently. Maybe like this. And let's just go with a 3000 by 3000 composition. And make the display grow shading for now. Let's just sneak a little bit around the mountain for this. And I want to increase the difference in height, so let's just go with 0.1. And maybe rotate them a little bit like this. Alright, so before we render this, we need to do make sure that our save output is put to an alpha channel and to PNG. And another thing that we need is a light for dramatic effect. So let's just go into the render settings, go to options and check off default light. And just go out of our camera for a second. And we'll add a light object. And as you can see, there will already be like some dramatic shadows on these planets. So let's just see what it looks like with our camera. I think this will be cool because we have the shadows here and the shadows here, and also on the like hills. So let's just render this out, and I'll see you back in Photoshop. Alright guys, let's just drag in the PNG into Photoshop. And what I also like to do for the background, and this is why we rendered it in a transparent background, is add a gradient to the background. So let's just go with a black and white background. Turn it to the back here and switch these around. So maybe make it radial. Move it to like where the light source is and then scale it up. So we have a little bit of a gradient in the background going on. And actually I'm gonna make the white just a little bit more gray to have it a little bit darker than like the planets and stuff. Yeah, this should be fine, I think. Right, so the first thing that I want to do now is add a gradient map. And the gradient map will be black. Let's just add a darker purple here, like this. And then like a red. And a yellow. gonna go and add a curves below the gradient map to increase the brightness a little bit. And as you can see, I feel like the gradient in the background is a little bit too light because I want this to be darker. So I'm gonna go with the adjustment layer and add a curves and just lower the gradients light here. And something like this should be fine. Alright, so now we can add a noise layer to this. So let's just go and make a new layer and hold shift and backspace. So we'll bring up the fill menu and make it 50% gray. I'm going to go to filter, noise, add noise. And I think 10% is fine. Just make sure that it's monochromatic so it's black and white. And now we'll put this to overlay. And let's just firstly fix this weird gradient in the background here. Let's just delete it for a second and see if we can just make a new gradient as a whole. Put it to the background here with the gradient map turned on. Actually, it's really cool like this as well, but maybe a little bit too intense. So let's just go with a linear one, or a radial one, sorry. And this is also kind of cool, you know, because it looks like there's like a big sun. Let's just go with this. I think this is actually cooler than the first one that I had. What I actually want to do though is maybe let's add a drop shadow to here because, or wait, no, not a drop shadow. Let's just make a new layer with a black brush and put it to the back of the planets here and see if we can add a little bit of shadow here, or at least to the horizon. Okay, so I'm gonna do this in another way. Let's just hold Command or Control to select the planets, and then with the polygon on lasso tool, hold Other Option, so we can deselect the planets here. So now we only have like the landscape here selected, and let's just fill this in with a black foreground color. And let's just move this up a little bit, so like this. And it's really too hard right now, so let's just see if we can do this with a motion blur. Looks kind of cool, right? Okay, so now that we have this, I actually want to increase the noise on this. So let's go to filter noise and add noise again on our noise layer. Maybe like 20. Because I like it when the gradient is like super noisy. And let's just call this noise layer. Alright. And now we can just group this as poster background. And let's just drag in a paper texture that I got from the Dreadlabs web store. So this package contains over 60 paper textures that you can use for your artworks. They're all really high resolution, so let's just drag one in and I'll show you. Put it to 100% height because it's 3000 by 4000 pixels and it's scanned at 1200 dpi. And see if we can blend this in well by holding Other Option. Okay, I kind of like it when I do the lighten effect here, and then but I want to darken the paper texture, so I'm going to press Command M to bring up a curves menu and just lower it a little bit like this. Alright, so I'm not going to really dive into the texting for this tutorial because it's just some stuff in Illustrator and I just jumped back into Photoshop, dragged it in. put on a black market trash machine over it, and that was that. And there are some tutorials on my channel to how to do ink bleed effects or on shapes that you made in Illustrator, so I recommend you go watch that. This was just for the sake of showing you how to do the gradient map with the 3D and blending it in. So yeah guys, I want to thank you for watching this tutorial. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments or join us on Discord. And I want to take this small moment in this video to thank my patrons for the continuous support that they're giving me. If you don't know, you can become a patron of Dreadlabs, and this will give you a 15% discount in the web store, as well as access to all the files for the tutorials. Every tutorial that you can find on my channel, there's a project file for it, and you can find it on our Patreon. So if that's something you're interested in, please do consider becoming a patron. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.